us. Like, we're energetic beings, it's not something I'm making up, right? we actually know it. It's science. And you have to change your internal state before the external changes. Yeah. And I think
Hey everybody, on this episode, the Soul Intelligence Method, you're going to learn all about it as Kristine shares her experience with trauma and this method, and it's going to help you. In fact, I think I'm going to do it. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of the Unraveled and Rising podcast. I'm here, Michelle, with my two wonderful co-hosts, Terry and Kimberly. Hey, guys.
Morning.
Good morning. Almost said
We
afternoon.
are going to talk about energy healing and the Soul Intelligence Method today. So if you're interested in that, you need to stay tuned because our guest today, Kristine Genovese.
Genovese, as Italian as you want to make it.
I would say Kristine Genovese.
Use your hands.
Genovese is going to talk all about it. She's going to share her story with us, and then we're going to get into the Soul Intelligence Method. And we're very excited because trauma-informed care and healing is very important to us, as we've mentioned in previous podcasts. So we're excited. Welcome, Kristine. We're so happy you're here.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be with all you. I know I'm in a room full of like-minded peeps, and that makes me happy.
Absolutely.
Yes, you are.
And the great part is they're all going to be together in San Marco Island in Florida for the next week because they're going to go see Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Now
I'm sitting out. I'm like, I'm just going to have to buy a ticket and show up. And you'll
I love it.
You can sleep in our room.
Good to know.
I'm excited to meet Kristine there in person.
Oh, it's going to be great.
I was just telling her that you guys are going to be there. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be there too. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's how you do know you're with like-minded peeps because everybody's showing up in the same place. And Dr. Joe's pretty amazing.
Yes.
Tell us, Kristine, we'd love to know a little bit about your story. I know you were sharing a little bit with me before we started to record about what happened during COVID. So I would love to hear how you got to where you are today. You know, what's your journey on the healing and trauma recovery, if you had any, that type of thing. And we'd love to hear it because that story, the stories that we share where we can resonate with other folks is so important to us.
Wow, goodness. My whole life has been full of wonderful traumas for me to learn and heal from. It's like, how much time do we have?
Yeah.
But I will just share, just in terms of how the method came to me or when I pivoted into kind of this work. I was a corporate turnaround specialist for most of my career. So, plane hopping, adrenal junkie, running from business to business, helping companies figure out what people, process, technology needed to move or shift. And then long around, March of 2020, when the world came to a collective halt, the divine plucked me out of corporate America unexpectedly. I was on year one of a planned 3-year turnaround. I thought that was the company I would retire from, actually. And I had just gotten a performance bonus, and I got a call from the head of HR letting me know my services were no longer needed. I'm like, what? I'm like, we're making the turn. What are you talking about? So I was completely shocked. It turned out not only was he letting me go, but he was also letting the COO go, my boss. And that was because we presented a board deck letting him know, had we been able to hire the people we had been asking him to hire in the fourth quarter, we not only would have met our numbers in the first quarter, we would have exceeded them. So what he did is he took our board deck, went in and told the board we didn't hire enough people, and he went on a hiring spree. Now, karma has a way of working things out. He got investigated by the board, hired a crony, and they summarily ran the company into the ground. It no longer exists today. It plucked Kristine out and gave her a 9-month runway to really figure out, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? So instead of like picking up the phone and like calling people, because I was in full on panic mode because my now husband was getting a biopsy for his prostate at the time. And I was like in total shock, like, oh my gosh, I'm the breadwinner. What am I going to do? And I realized, after I went through the whole trauma response, right? All the feels, the fear, the anger, got through that. Yeah. I took some really good advice from a friend who said, how about you go into doing something you really want to do instead of something you feel you have to do?
Yeah.
And
Love that.
right, yeah.
Great.
And so I did what I know how to do, which is a lot of prayer and meditation. I think they go hand in hand, right? I think prayer is asking and meditation's listening.
Yeah.
And I remember having this incredibly powerful meditation. I had tears streaming down my face, where I knew my soul was just screaming at me, my soul intelligence, what I call soul intelligence at the time now, that I needed to bring the soul intelligence method into the world. Because I always knew I had a way with energy. And but I wasn't really comfortable coming out of the spiritual closet, because you have this vision, kind of like Brandon Bouchard says, you're in your zone of excellence. People see you that way, this accomplished corporate executive, and you're known for it, and people pay you well, and you identify with it, and you kind of get stuck in that zone of excellence for a long time. And then you have this realization, oh, I need to step into my zone of genius. And that's kind of scary, coming out of the spiritual closet when you've been such a grounded person, right?
Yes.
So that was kind of the origin of the method, really.
Love that. And I love the fact that too, you were kind of forced to do it. Of course. But I love the fact that you understood that you were getting all these accolades and everything in the corporate world for what you were doing. And that's such a comfortable place to be. It's a wonderful place to be when people honor you or celebrate you for all those accomplishments. But the fact that you really listen to your inner being, and you listen to your soul. And like you said, and we're able to take that listening, and whatever that, if it was from God or from the universe or wherever you believe it comes from, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that happened to me, Kristine. It was before 2020, but it was when I was going through my divorce, and everything just blew up, my whole life. And I was the same way, went to prayer. I think it was that completely down on the ground, desperate, in surrender mode, just like I needed my life to change, and I was so desperate for it. Yeah. But I think that was when God really reached down and said, okay, I got your attention, And so I had this radical experience in my living room in actually 2015. So it was before all of this happened, and my life radically changed. And I think that was the beginning of my awakening process, and the beginning of right before all the events with my divorce and everything were going to happen. But I was called in that direction before everything began to just blow. Well, I say blow up, but before everything began to take place in my life. But something changed within me that I can't explain it. But my life has never been the same from that moment on. And it was an energy that, to me, mine is with God. And to me, that was a Holy Spirit moment that just radically changed my life. And I have been on a journey since then that I have just been seeking, and it's such a mystery to me. And I've just been on this journey, seeking more and more and more of it.
Awesome.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, I often say we don't learn from the round corners. We learn from the sharp edges, right?
Yes.
Like you bump into the corner. Oh gosh, that really hurt. And I think it's kind of the different levels of consciousness we go through. There's the lowest level where it's like the victim, villain, hero, life is happening to me. And then you kind of move up into the life is happening for me, right? Oh, what can I learn? Where's the lesson in this? And is it something in me that needs to shift? Is what's that person, why are they behaving that way? And then you kind of get to the next level, which is where I am when I do this work. We feel like, and where I think you were at that moment, life is happening through me. And you feel this divine presence kind of coming through you. It's also, part of the writing process for me in writing my book, divine inspiration that comes through you. And then there's the life is happening as me. And that's kind of when you get to lose yourself, like whether you're in Colorado, like you guys, you're at the top of the mountain, you just kind of hear the air rushing by you and you almost feel like you're a part of those particles, or you bliss out. We're going to bliss out at Joe Dispenza next week, but you bliss out, right? You're on the ocean. We'll do that too. You feel like you're one with it, right? But you can't stay in those exalted states. That's like Buddha on the mountain, and we're human beings. We're here to experience, right? And so, we know we shift between states. I mean, the second you pull out into traffic, after the beach, you're like, that guy cut me up. You're down the bottom, right? And so you got to give yourself grace. We're not expected to stay up there all the time, but I do my best to kind of stay in the life is happening for me, the life university stage, and the life is happening through me stage. It's a lot more peaceful there, a lot more flow.
Well, and you said something so true. It's just these changing states of beings that we're in throughout the day. We can wake up in the morning and be in a phenomenal mood after we come out of meditation. And
oh, yeah. And then,
yeah. Exactly.
And there's a sink full of dishes that nobody.
You get on that first Zoom call and you're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
but I think too the tremendous sense of
to solve,
Oh yeah, right. I think too the thing that's so great about awareness is the fact that that you're in that you can feel the change in your energy, and you know where it's coming from, you know what's going on, and you can make a choice at that time to change to shift.
Oh, cool.
Because for me in business, and this, Kristine, but it's for everybody. When you're out of alignment, when your energy's off, when your vibration's off, and it affects every part of your life, every relationship, every business dealing, where you just weren't feeling your game that day, and everybody can feel it. They don't know what they're feeling, but they know something's off with you. Even though your words may say something different, they can feel it. And that, that's the nice thing about awareness, is you can make a change when you know that it's happening.
Absolutely.
It's so much quicker, so you don't have to be in it all day long after you spill the coffee on yourself and you get cut off, and it's like, all right, hang on a second here. Let me do some readjustment. And
well, I got some quick hacks, like I'll put on high vibe music. So like if I'm doing strategy work during the day, or I've just had a crap call, right, I'm going to use the music to kind of bring my vibe up. I also love to laugh. That is like an instant way to get into joy, right?
Yeah.
So there are some like hacks like that I like to do. Sometimes changing your environment, getting outside, going for a quick walk, right? Just shift it, ground it, get it out. And that's really the basis of the method, right? It's founded in the science of bioenergetics, okay? And that was documented in the 1950s by Dr. Alexander Lowen. And it's basically, to me, common sense, being a New Yorker, but if physically you're not doing well, mentally and emotionally, you're probably not doing so hot, and vice versa, right? So, I think we think of ourselves sometimes as physical beings, and we forget, like back in grade school, we learned we were all protons, neutrons, electrons vibrating in an electromagnetic field, right? So things are attracted to us, and we don't realize how much everything is energy. Like I can't see you guys, and I can't describe it any other way than this is an energy transfer. And people forget that because they're physical, they're corporal, right? I'm like, well, how do you stream stuff from the air and it shows up on your laptop or on your television? It's an energy transfer. I love how, Einstein said that the future of medicine is vibration and frequency. Einstein. And now we're using vibration to kill cancer cells. Like it's here. It's not crazy. It's quantum physics. And I know we're all going to go to the quantum field and become no one and nothing next week, which is going to be a blast. But I'm very excited, to be able to share with people how you can use my method to help shift stuck energy in the body, right? So that basically, to me, emotion is energy in motion. And when energy gets stuck or it pools in the body, that's when it causes dis-ease or dysfunction or a dissonance in your frequency. And you go see a medical professional, right? You're like, what's going on here? But there is always an underlying emotional root cause. And whether that's rooted in trauma, unresolved trauma, old patterns, self-limiting beliefs, right? Negative energies, emotions, and thoughts, all of that is in our subconscious mind. And I really believe our physical body is the barometer as to what's going on in our subconscious mind. And we all know the subconscious is running the show 95% of the time, which is really good, or we wouldn't breathe when we're sleeping. But it's really challenging to try and control the 95% with the 5% that does all that figuring, strategizing, thinking, and calculating.
Yeah, it takes pictures of all those events that we've had programmed into our body, and it relives it from the past over and over and over again, unless we change it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it doesn't know the difference between reality and
No.
not, so it's like whatever you're thinking doesn't know that that's not happening or that's not the truth or whatever. It doesn't know the difference. So if you spend all your time living in that, and not having the awareness around where it's coming from or what's happening, you're constantly telling yourself that thought over and over again.
Right. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just said it's very familiar. You said something about laughing, and I did that with the women in the prison. We just, and they looked at me like I was crazy, and we all just started laughing. And by the end of you get these really hard women who don't want to put their shell down, and they're just looking at you, but then it's so contagious that you can't help it. So everybody by the end of the few minutes is sitting there laughing, but they all can feel the change in their inner state. So there is no, you can't deny that you don't feel different after you have that experience of that laughter. Yeah. And so once they feel that, and then they realize that, oh, wow, I just created that, and I just changed my entire state and the way that I feel, then it's like, oh, I really do have more power over my state of being than I ever really thought that I did.
Well, since we're all Dr. Joe fans, he did an experiment, right, with a bunch of men, about 40 men, I think, who had prostate cancer. And he took them to a really funny, like really good comedy show. And they measured, the genes. They did testing beforehand, before they went to the comedy show, and then after the comedy show. And they saw in nearly every single person that their genes upregulated after that, right? So we know it affects us. Like, we're energetic beings, it's not something I'm making up, right? we actually know it. It's science. And you have to change your internal state before the external changes. Yeah. And I think, that's where the electric part of the electromagnetic spark of the field starts, right? It's with that idea, that intention, like, in the masculine part. That's the first part. Then what magnifies things to you or collapses the particle wave is emotion, yes. Right? That's why you have to get in the feeling or that state of being that you want to, operate from. And that, whatever it is you want to create comes from, right? That's how we bring it into form. It collapses the particle wave in the field. Not always the way we anticipate, but say it again.
Doing it over and over again.
Right. And so it's the way to kind of break out of the conditioning. So my methodology actually allows me to get into that subconscious mind, because a lot of times we don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. Or we think, like, for example, I do work with women who have been divorced, and they think they've worked through all of the stuff because, I cried or I went to therapy and I'm done and it's over. And then you do a session and you realize, oh, but you're still hanging on to this. Mm-hmm. And that's why you're behaving the way you're behaving. Or that's why you're inviting a similar partner into your life, right? Because they haven't completely shifted up and out of that belief or released that trauma completely. Right. But we think we have. And it's really fascinating. Yeah. The Heart Math Institute, measures your brain activity, and they measure your heart. And our brain, all the time we spend in there, it's only got a 2-foot wide magnetic field versus your heart, which has a 6-foot wide magnetic field, right? It's infinitely more powerful. Yet what were we told? There's no emotions. There's no crying in baseball. You can't bring that into the workplace, right? Stuff it. Well, I did that. You asked about trauma.
We all did.
Mm-hmm. I devalued myself as a woman. I saw women as weak. I mean, the time I grew up, right? That's what it was. You had to be a man in the workplace. You want to get paid like a man, you got to act like a man. You got to have all the baseball statistics for the day. You got to use crass language. You got to make fun of people who are emotional. That was the craziness, right? I got to carry 2 cases of beer up the stairs as a young college kid just to prove to the guys I could do it. Stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But all of that conditioning, I wound up going to the OBGYN, having an abnormal pap, They did an in-office biopsy and said, there's too many bad cells. We have to do a procedure in the hospital and do a conical biopsy. I was like, what? What do you mean? And at the time, I was so disconnected from my body. I was like, oh, who cares? I'm done having kids. Just take all my parts out. What does it matter? Like literally, like crazy. Like, when I think about now my reaction. And I went to, after I got the notice and I had to schedule the hospital stay, I was like, I went to every healer imaginable. Like I talked to psychics, I went to energy workers, I went to massage therapists, I went to acupuncture, I did everything, all the things. And one woman said to me, she goes, well, the reason why this happened is you're not in touch with your divine feminine. I'm like, well, what the heck does that mean? Right? Do I have to wear long dresses? What makeup? What do you mean? And I realized, I started doing a little research, and like all these strong goddesses in history, like Isis and Sekhmet, they were like incredible leaders, or leaders like Mary Magdalene, or even, Joan of Arc. Like there's tons of powerful women. They were not weak. It wasn't the weaker sex, right? But I had such crazy, like glass ceiling mentality that I finally went, oh. And I started to embrace my femininity. And of course it attacked my cervix. That's the seat of womanhood, right? That's why, actually, it's kind of interesting. It's also where the sexual organs are for, not only for a woman, but for a man in the sacral chakra in that area. That's why so many men who retire get prostate cancer, because that's the seat of their manhood and they've lost their purpose.
Yep.
Right? The energy's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So I started doing all the work, right? I prayed, I meditated, I saw my cells vibrating healthy. And I had one energy worker say to me, by the time you go in, it's going to be gone. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be gone. All right, I'm with you. I'm like, it's gone. I don't need it anymore. I woke up. I understood what it was about. We went in, had the procedure, and I'll never forget the OBGYN's face. She looked at me and she went, we must have cut it all out. It's gone. I'm like, yeah, we must have. Now, was it one or the other? I hope it was all the things, right? What I did in the physical, the mental, emotional, it was all the healing. I didn't need that wake-up call anymore.
Yeah.
And, fortunately, been good since then. But it's just kind of like, how does the trauma show up when you stuff that energy? It's got to go somewhere.
It's going to manifest. Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to go somewhere. It's not going to, it's just wanting to complete. It's going to stay in this cycle until we look at the ugly thing.
Or like, even like growing up as a kid, right? My dad was an alcoholic. You asked for trauma, so I'm just throwing some nuggets. Okay.
Right.
Dad was an alcoholic. So no matter what I did, it was never good enough.
Yeah.
So I had to be the overachiever and overdo to get attention and to be good, right? So that helped me throughout my career, right? As a corporate turnaround specialist, I'm always meeting, exceeding. But it also really hurt me in my personal relationships because I would overdo, the partner would underdo, and then I'm falling apart because I've got no help or support.
There you go.
Right?
You and I align in that area. And
we're going to have so much fun next week.
I've had to learn that because I became a huge perfectionist and just like, it was great for my professional life, but with my family, I was doing everything for everyone, and I couldn't do everything for everyone at the cost of my own soul. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting how like a self-limiting belief, right, can help you or it can hurt you. Yep. And I think the biggest key is the awareness, right? So now I don't engage in relationships that are that lopsided, but I didn't have the awareness before. Yes. So, and I think that's the biggest thing, right? So being aware or noticing, like you don't have to have, this major event like I did, in the physical. Right. You could wake up one morning and you got a pain in the neck and you're like, oh, it's on the right side of my body. Okay, right side's typically male, pain in the neck is inflexible. Oh yeah, my partner was kind of a jerk and, really not wanting to do what I wanted to do. And so I need to work that out. I need to speak my truth. I need to get it out. It could be something small like that. But we think I slept wrong. No, there's something underneath that. So go deeper and try and sense what that awareness is.
Yeah, just the other day, my son, we just had this moment together, and I reminded myself I wanted to go downstairs, and I went downstairs and I reminded myself, you cannot go to bed angry. You've got to go upstairs and we've got to make this right. So we went upstairs. I went upstairs and just, no, it wasn't a big deal, but I just couldn't allow my spirit to go to bed with having any of this, just being discontent with anything. And so I just had to say, you know what, I love you and we're going to work this out, and we're family. We're here to support one another. And I hugged him and told him I loved him. And I just had to go. I knew that I had to go to bed. You know why? Because when I was married, there were so many times that my intuition said, don't go to bed angry. Don't go to bed with anger in your heart. And I ignored it, and I ignored it, and I ignored it. And I knew that I was not supposed to do that. And, those were the years that my anxiety, my panic attacks, and all of those things were getting worse and worse and worse. And I was feeling more and more disconnected from myself. So there's something to it,
Well, good for you for not repeating that pattern with your son. I've seen that a lot of times. Like, I'm not going to name names, but I know someone, they got, their husband passed away. They never were able to set boundaries, with a mental and abusive person. So it's being reflected in their relationship with their daughter. And I'm like, well, this is another opportunity for you to actually have boundaries and stand up for yourself and say what's okay and what's not okay, and help her shift as well. But they're still kind of stuck in the loop. Everybody's on their own path, right?
Yep.
Well, so that's when you got to go, okay. Good luck. Love you.
You saying that is so important, because it was the pattern that was showing up again.
Right.
And here I had the opportunity to make a different choice, and just being aware that that's what was happening. And that I was able to do that.
That's awesome. And good for you. I love it. My kids are grown, so we have different conversations at 33 and 29 these days. But I had to do something really similar with my older son, and it's really kind of cool. Like, we've both of my boys called me yesterday. I was like, "Wow, both in one day!" That was super cool, because when the boy takes a wife, that becomes his life. As the saying goes. So it's really kind of cool when they call you when they need you. I hear twice, like either they need something or something really great happened. That's usually the two times they pick up the phone. And I got to hear from both of them yesterday. And fortunately, it was great for both of them. So that was really fun to share in their excitement.
I always get nervous when my son calls. I'm like, what's the matter? What's
happening? I know.
He never calls. But when he calls, it's a shocker for me, kind of thing. It's just, he just has his own life. And, I'm happy that he doesn't need me every second. He's able to take care of himself. Would I like to talk to him more often? Yes, I would. But I understand that he has his own life, and I can't bet. But when he calls, I'm like, what's going on? What's the matter? But I had to say, one thing that you said that I so connected with is that masculine energy you were talking about. I so relate to that, because I've done the exact same thing in my life in the corporate world. I felt like I had to act like a man, because the men are the ones that were getting promoted and were getting, all these things. So that was the thing I felt so comfortable doing. I never expressed emotion. But the downside of that is in my personal life, I didn't do things where I was afraid my emotion was going to come out. As an example, my aunt Kathleen, who is very dear to me, her wife, who she was with for 25 years, died of cancer. I didn't go to the funeral because I knew that I was going to break down and be crying uncontrollably. And I didn't want to show that part of myself in front of all these people. So I didn't even go. I made an excuse of why I couldn't go to the funeral. I'm like, how is that honoring my loved ones and my family and myself? Because now I regret that all these years later that I never went, and I hurt her in the process because I didn't make the effort to go. So it's like, I just, getting in touch with my feminine side is something that I have been growing into now that I'm older, but I didn't feel comfortable there at all.
I get it. When somebody has a soul intelligence session with me, it's very much like this, like a Zoom. And I tell them, look, all you got to do is show up, talk about compliance. It's that easy. And all you have to do is receive. And the only thing that sometimes happens, right, is somebody will have a release, right? They might cry. And I tell them ahead of time, I go, I really want you to look at tears as holy water, as it's your soul releasing. That's where it's coming from. And it is so like cathartic when you actually allow yourself to really break down and release like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can hold space for somebody, or just, you know, you be with a really like these incredible ladies and just freaking have a great cry, that can help too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It really can. Because again,
I'm so much better at it now.
The emotion. Yeah. You're letting it out. It's got to come out.
I also felt like I had a family that was very unemotional, and they made me feel, I shouldn't say that. I felt like they were judging me when I would cry. I don't think their intention was to make me feel that way, but I felt like I was being judged somehow when I was emotional.
Or vulnerable,
So,
right?
right.
When you cry, you're vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
And so probably you didn't want to be under attack either, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Go ahead, Terry.
I was going to say, I know for me in this season of my life, that feminine, going back to that feminine energy and the masculine, I didn't even know what that meant for the longest time. And then when I realized how masculine I was in being so independent and stuff, and being a single mom for so many years before I did get married, and just taking that role of figuring everything out and managing everything, that the men that I'm looking for now and the relationship that I want in my life, that is not what they're looking for. So getting in tune with that feminine side of me, where someone wants to be the provider and wants a woman to be in her feminine, is something that is new for me.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's a lot about safety and vulnerability. Like, do you feel safe and comfortable enough to be vulnerable enough to open up and create and allow that feminine energy to flow? And the masculine in its true divine masculine form is supposed to kind of be this container to allow this incredible creative feminine energy, like, to be able to express and flow. And us softening allows them to be more masculine, right?
Yes.
Which is a big thing for me to learn too, right? Because I was like, badass corporate woman, you know, like, no one's going to touch this armor, you know, and you realize, you know, you're not allowing them to express, you know, their divine masculine.
Right.
When you're
but
not
that's also assuming they're, you know, they can use work too. Come on. Right? I mean,
oh yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well,
Yeah, I get you.
Well, I mean, and I know that we both species have masculine and feminine.
Yes.
But it's a healthy, we have to be in that healthy space of both.
The healthy balance. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of confusion around that right now.
It 100%.
Oh goodness. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I love that. You're so funny.
Well, you know, I have a healthy mix of both men and women as clients, right? So it's really fun for me to see, especially when I get to work with a couple kind of separately. You know, I love one of the medical doctors that I worked with. Her husband would run the practice for her while she would see the patients. So he did all the business elements, she did all the medical elements. And, you know, he kept pushing her to open another location, and, you know, it was causing them, she wasn't ready. She was causing them friction. She couldn't figure out how to talk to him about it. She's like, can we do a session? I'm like, sure. So I did a session for her. And the very next day she sent me a text. She goes, I don't know what you did, but my husband has never treated me so loving and kind and wonderful. And we had the best discussion, and I was able to talk to him, and oh my God, how did you doing whatever you did with me affect him? And I'm like, let me share, you know, basically, right? We shifted her energy, right? She had a bioenergetic adjustment, like a chiropractor does a biomechanical adjustment. So she had a bioenergetic adjustment. So now her partner feels that change, right? On a subconscious level, and is responding to her differently. We took the wall down. So she was able to be open and vulnerable with him. and be softer about the conversation instead of, no, I don't want to do it, like, or however they were framing it prior. But I think it's working, when we shift our energy, we don't realize the impact we have on others. And it's not just our partner, obviously if you're making out with someone, you're exchanging more than just fluid, right? You're exchanging energy. But it's kind of like the butterfly effect. When someone chooses to help themselves, self-care, all of us, we not only affect the people around us, but it's kind of the butterfly effect where, the butterfly changes its pattern on one side of the world and it causes tsunami. We're all connected. So I always tell people, look, self-care is not selfish. It is sacred. And when you fix you help you're literally elevating the consciousness of the planet just by taking care of you.
Yep.
I think people forget that.
Well, so I've been meditating and working on, we have the same coach, the three of us, we have had for the past 3 years. I'm the shortest amount of time with this coach, but he just kept telling me, just keep working on yourself. Yep. Just keep it. And Terry, I was telling Michelle Nelson, my husband, told me 2 days ago, when you get back from Dr. Joe, could you teach me how to meditate?
You're like, progress.
When we change, we provide space for others to change. And it's not us telling people anymore. They see it, they feel it. And that's
changes in me.
And that's the magnetism. That's what they feel.
That's magic.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I've found that, at least in my current relationship, the more that I can stay in my divine feminine, the more he's able to be in his divine masculine, and he responds differently to me. Yeah. When I meet him with resistance, I get resistance. Yep. Right. So I think it's just kind of being aware of what's the outcome you want, and what state of being do I need to be in to achieve that outcome together.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because we really do attract the person that we are.
Yep.
I mean, it's true.
Mirror on the wall.
Yeah. I know Kristine has to go, but I wanted to just read this quote. I read this to the women in the prison at one of our first, a couple weeks ago. But it's a quote by A.H. Almas. And it says, your conflicts, all the difficult things, the problematic situations in your life are not chance or haphazard. They are actually yours. They are specifically yours, designed specifically for you by a part of you that loves you more than anything else. The part of you that loves you more than anything else has created roadblocks to lead you back to yourself. You're not going in the right, you are not going in the right direction unless there is something pricking you in the side, telling you, look
sharp
here.
edges.
That's why I said this. Look here, this way. This part of you loves you so much that it doesn't want you to lose the chance. And it will go to extreme measures to wake you up. It will make you suffer greatly if you don't listen. What else can it do? That is its purpose.
Wow. Yeah, it could be situation or person.
Yeah.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah.
Yep. So true.
If you're in prison and you hear that,
yeah,
that's a pretty big prick that you had there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that's hard for you to have to come
They
to
really appreciated reading that.
Yeah. I mean,
because then we're not a victim, right? It's like,
right.
Yeah, we're not a victim.
It's also personal accountability. What can I do differently going forward? Right. So I don't find myself in a similar situation again.
Yeah. And what is my part in this? What is my part?
Yeah. What's the lesson in it for me?
Yeah.
Even if it was just you following others or feeling so insecure about yourself that you just did what other people wanted you to do, or you thought they wanted you to do, that still in itself is taking accountability for the fact that you chose to do that.
Right.
So it's like, you can still be a very vulnerable person who got taken advantage of by a lot of different people and still take accountability for the fact that that's the path that you chose. You could have walked away from it if, however you see it. But I just find that so fascinating, the work that you do behind bars, Terry.
Well, and just telling them the fact that you show up in a trauma recovery class in prison, that is huge. Give yourself
showing up. Absolutely.
Showing up. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Christine, we're going to have a link to your website and your book and all of that in the show notes here. So those of you who are interested in learning more, scheduling a session with Kristine or buying her book and all of that, we'll have that on the show notes. But is there anything else you'd like to share about the soul intelligence method? I know, we've only got a few more minutes with you, so I want to make sure you say everything you want to say about it, because I think it's pretty incredible.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, my mission in the world is to bring this modality to as many, healers, healthcare professionals, people who want to help and serve others heal mental and emotional, trauma and wellness. So that's really my passion. So if you're interested in learning the method, that's really what I want to do. I'm happy to share that. I do a free group session that people can sign up for on my website the first Wednesday of every month at 6 Eastern, so that people can have an experience. Because
Nice.
I want people to become, more familiar with the method, and they can sign up on my website in order to participate in that. But the other cool thing that I'm doing, I don't know if you see this behind me or not, but
yeah,
I'm actually in a movie that's coming out in the beginning of the year. It's called The Pillars of Power. And it is a 20-year anniversary of The Secret, which I know you ladies probably all know. And so it's got a number of the original stars from the movie The Secret, the book The Secret, about manifestation. It was one of the earliest things that came out about it. And so some of the original stars, like Dr. Joe Vitale, Marie Diamond, are in the movie, as well as some of today's transformational specialists like myself. So that's kind of exciting. My book is just, isn't that cool? And so my book was also voted 2025 Book of the Year by Best Holistic Life magazine recently. So that was like a really cool honor to be stepping out. And thank you. And it's just full of all great stories. Like I shared a couple stories, like a personal story and a doctor story. I do this method with healthcare professionals. And so I think that's one of the coolest things to me, that people in functional and integrative medicine, MDs, are open now to really learning naturopathic ways to heal and holistic healing. Like I can help them in the physical, maybe with this nutraceutical or this, medication or procedure, a combination of things. But in order for someone to heal holistically and completely, we have to address the underlying emotional root cause in order for them to heal completely and not keep coming back with a chronic condition. Because that's what doctors treat today, right? 95% of the patients they see are chronic conditions, things that won't heal. And so it's because the energy's still locked in there. We got to shift it, or you're going to keep getting the same results, or you fix one thing and something else falls apart, right? So it's the same thing, whether it's showing up as a recurrence in your life or it's showing up as something different in the physical body. So just, I'm really loving the work I get to do in the world. And I'm so freaking excited that we're going to go zen out on the beach next week and I get to see you guys in person.
Me too.
Cool. I got your number.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. We're in. I know it's going to be great. And I can't thank you guys enough for having me on. This was so cool. I'm like, I could totally hang out with these guys. We could have coffee or wine or whatever.
Exactly.
I'm
so true.
Excited.
Thank you so much, Kristine. We really appreciate it. Again, your links in the show notes here, you guys, to her website and to her book and all these things. And I'm going to sign up for the free call. I'm in.
Check it out.
I'm going to check it out. So I may have to have a session.
Kimberly and I have been registered nurses for Kimberly over 20 years. I'm coming up on my 20th year.
Wow.
And I am a holistic nurse coach. So I speak the language you speak. So I get it.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're definitely getting you guys hooked up with the nutritional frontiers as well as soul intelligence. We're going to be all in good shape. So.
I was just sitting here thinking this was not by accident that we had her on the show right before we're going
before we're leaving. Yeah.
Yes, right before we leave.
And we rescheduled. We even rescheduled this because we had it on before and we couldn't make it. So this was the rescheduling. It was like perfect timing.
Oh my God.
Thank you, divine of all that is. Love it.
Thank you. Yep.
Oh, gosh.
Thank
We're
you.
sending you guys
Thank you,
lots of good energy, safe travel, and I'll look forward to soon, Friday.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time on the Unraveled and Rising podcast.
Take care.
Bye-bye.